Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to Procrastinator's Pit Stop. We have a fairly special guest for you here today. We have with us Mark Corona, who's the Chief Border Patrol Agent and founder of the Satirical nation of Slowjamastan, home to over 20,000 global citizens. He merges humor, ingenuity, and impactful lessons to turn ambition into action and captivates audiences worldwide. A national trivia host invited to speak at the 2024 NATO Summit, he delivers a dynamic blend of engagement and leadership that empowers others. Mark, welcome to the show.
Chris, thank you so much for having me, my friend. Appreciate your time and your patience here with me today.
Oh, well, we all know that that things happen, and we do want to dig into a lot of things, and it's going to be a great show for sure. But before we dive into it, we do like to have a little bit of an icebreaker. And the question for you today is, which cartoon character do you resonate with the most, and why?
Okay, which cartoon character? So, I think it started out as a cartoon character, or maybe even a comic strip. Batman is actually that's who I resonate with the most. Why? It's funny you ask me that, because I've wondered for years, why do I love Batman so much? I don't really know why. I think ever since the movie came out in '88, the Michael Keaton version, I just fell in love with the character. Well, actually, I lied, because I've been a Batman fan since I was a kid, when the dolls were like this size. And I had Spider-Man, Superman, Batman, but Batman was the one that I loved. And I've never known why, dude. And people ask me, and I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I'm a bad inside. I don't know.
Oh, that's interesting, but I'm sure it'll come to you at some point, probably in the shower or
someday. Yeah, right, exactly. Now I know why.
Yeah. So Mark, why don't you tell us, what does procrastination mean to you? How do you define it, and what does it mean to you personally?
Procrastination. I used to be that guy years ago where I would procrastinate, and I got to a point where I said I got to stop doing it. It means basically someone who doesn't they want to do things, but they don't move on doing things until either the time is right or they feel like doing whatever it is, that thing that they need to do. That's how I see a procrastination. I've worked with people like that in the past, and I had to kind of get to adjust, because some people you just can't change. If that's the way they are, it doesn't make them bad by any means. It's just that's the way they are, and you have to adjust, and I've learned to do that. So that would be the definition for me when it comes to procrastination.
Right. And you mentioned that, you used to, and you decided that, you needed to stop it. And we know there's no silver bullet or one size fits all, but what was your secret sauce for overcoming procrastination?
I think when I wasn't getting things done on time, and I was working in radio, and in radio, a lot of things have to be on time. There's high demand and things like that. And I realized that I was either I was being left behind or I was being reprimanded. And I realized that I didn't want to lose this career. I had a great career going. And I said, if I don't start doing things on these timelines or the expectations, I'm never going to get any further. So that was when I decided I got to stop procrastinating, or when too much work would pile up and I would be like, well, I'll get to it. I'll do this and I'll do that. And then all of a sudden it's due. It's like, hey man, we need this like today. And I got tired of that pressure of having to man, I could have done this 5 days ago. I could have done it all in one day and not have to worry about it. So those were the things that started changing my thinking. I'm like, I am done with procrastination. I am just going to get things done. And now it's been many, many years, but now I just get things done. In a good example, I'm recording a game right now. It's not due today. This is not due for another 3 weeks. But now I got so used to making sure that things get done so I don't do them last minute, that now I'm in the studio right now recording games so that I don't have to worry when 3 weeks from now, they'll be ready to go. And I actually feel a lot better about stuff like that. So now I work. This is the way I work. So that way, I'm not like, oh God, I got to get this done at the last minute. Now it's done. I feel good, and I can work on other things.
I like that. It's almost like you got to procrastination then, because,
Yeah.
you as soon as something comes in, you're saying that as soon as it comes in, you just knock it out.
I do that because I don't want to go back to the old habits. Because I know what that felt like when you had to do things at the last minute, which you could have done a week ago, and you wait till the last minute to get it done. And now all this pressure is on you. And I got tired of that, of feeling that pressure. I was feeling stressed out all the time. And don't get me wrong, it took me a while to get to that procrastination. It really did. But once I got there and I said, I can't do this anymore, it really changed my life. And I said, man, now I feel like I have freedom. So today, when I finish these games here that I'm doing, dude, for the next 3 weeks, I mean, what am I really doing? Whatever corrections come in for our games, whatever adjustments I need to make, I'll do that. But at least these games are done today and I don't have to worry about it for 3 weeks. I like that feeling of not having that pressure of last minute stuff. Now, I also want to be transparent. There are times that I get caught up doing something else and I know I'm supposed to be doing this over here and I will get into a last minute and I'm like, and I get a little angry with myself. So I once again reminded, hey man, you got to stop procrastinating, brother. You got to stop, get back on track and go. And I normally get back on track. So I've never fallen back into the old habits.
Oh, I mean, that's great because old habits tend to die hard. But I mean, if you've got a system that works for you, why mess with it, right? I am curious though, this sort of transformation past this old habit. And now you've got this, I think this nation that you've made, Slowjamastan. And it's got slow right in the name, Slowjamastan. So how is that? How did that come to?
So, originally when we started Slowjamastan, the concept behind it was we were supposed to be promoting a radio show. And the radio show is called Slow Jams. And it's slowjams.com. And it's just nothing but slow jams music. It's on over 300 or 600 radio stations across the country and some other countries as well. That was kind of why it started. And so we came up with a clever name to kind of promote that. But obviously, nobody cared for the radio side of things. And therefore, it became a nation. And really, it just kind of developed into its own monster. It's nothing to do with the original idea. So that's why you see the name Slowjamastan, but it's got nothing to do with us being slow or taking our time with things or procrastinating. It literally had to do with a whole radio show and really music more than anything.
Wow. So you started out as like a nation around music, and then it just got away from that, and it just grew.
It just grew. I think when it all started when we came up with the very first law, and that law was the ban on Crocs. When the ban on Crocs started, that's when it just took off on its own. And nobody cared for Slow Jams music. Nobody cared for the radio station stuff. That it's not even a topic for us. Slowjamastan just became its country. Once the Croc law came into play, it just took off from there. And then we've just been building on it ever since. Anything that, comes our way, we just been building ever since. Every day is a different day with Slowjamastan, man. We never know what to expect.
And what do you mean by you're never sure what to expect? I mean, let's fill our listeners in just a little bit. How big is Slowjamastan? I mean, it's got 20,000 citizens globally, but how much area are we actually talking about? And what do you mean when things?
So let's correct the number. That number has grown. We are just over 30,000 now citizens, and it's growing every single day. Slowjamastan is about 11 acres of land. It's in between El Centro, California and Palm Springs, California. It's basically a desolate desert. It's just kind of in the middle of nowhere, right? The only thing that's down there is people who go dune bugging and camping and things like that. That's about all you get. And then there's a border patrol station. Ironically, we had no idea when we got the land. There's a border patrol station right there. And obviously me being the chief border patrol agent and having my own border patrol truck, at the very beginning, when I say that you never know what to expect, at the very beginning, I was getting stopped and I had been detained. I had been thrown in the back of a police car and, I was being accused of impersonating a border patrol officer and things like that. So you just never know what to expect. I could be going down the road and all of a sudden people are like, hey, turn on your siren and, all kinds of things happen. Or it could be in the neighborhood and a police officer pulls me over, not because they think I'm impersonating, but because maybe they're saying, what is this? What is border patrol? And it just creates curiosity. So all of a sudden police are taking pictures with my truck. So I like to, when I say every day is a different day, I just never know what to expect, So far it's been good though. So I know the riots are going on in LA right now over ICE and all that stuff. And so it's a good thing I wasn't in LA because I had no idea that was going on. Now that would have been a really bad, unexpected thing to happen. So I'm glad I wasn't caught up in that.
Yeah, that could have been.
Yeah, that's bad.
So where do you think that you really want to take Slowjamastan? I mean, I know that it started out as one thing. Now it's become this other thing. Have you noticed that its sort of message or its goal has changed then?
It has. Like I said, we started off, promoting music, but now it's grown into something completely different. This is what I think Slowjamastan is right now for people that are involved and for the citizens that we have. I believe that Slowjamastan right now is a place of unity, inclusivity, and mental wellness. When people join Slowjamastan, I ask, hey, what brought you over? They love the humor, they love the satire, they love the events that we do together, but they love the positivity of the whole thing. So I think Slowjamastan has grown from what we originally thought into more of a positive place to be, almost like the get along gang, I guess you could say, like a positivity club, is kind of what it turned into. And when I reach out to citizens and I send out personal messages to citizens, it's one of the things that they love. They love getting those positive messages from me because it just kind of makes them smile. It makes them laugh, or, puts them in, if they're in a bad place, it puts them in a good place. But people always say, I love Slowjamastan because you guys are funny. I love Slowjamastan because you guys make it inclusive. And I love Slowjamastan because it's something completely different. If people could move into Slowjamastan, they would. And unfortunately, many people in Bangladesh don't get the satire, didn't transfer very well. So they think that you can actually move to Slowjamastan, and we're constantly every day being bombarded, asking if we can help them move there or give them a passport to citizenship in Slowjamastan. They just don't get the satire of it. But if people could move into our country, they would do it. And it's all because of the positive messages that we send out. And that's all it is. It's fun, it's positive, and it's inclusive. Everybody's welcome.
And that's something there that, might be something interesting. I mean, a little harder to do inside the United States, but I mean, have you considered maybe doing something similar to, I forget the name of those guys right now, but in 1996, between 1996 and 1998, they made their own country out in the middle of the ocean somewhere with an island. Do you think that Slowjamastan could ever grow into something like that?
We've thought about it, and I know exactly what you're talking about. I was fascinated when I first saw that country in the middle of the ocean. I thought that was fantastic. I don't know, and this is me just being honest. I don't really know where we can go from here. I know there's been other people that have asked us if they can do an extension, Slowjamastan in a place where they live, but I don't think people understand the amount of money that it takes to create something like this, the amount of time and the effort in marketing. It's not just as simple as, hey, I'm going to go start my own country. It's going to take you some serious money to go out and start your own country if you really, really want to do that, But then, you've got people that do it online, the little not micromanagers, would call them micro countries or micro, I can't think of the names. But anyway, some people will start, their own little micro country online. And that's fine. You want to start it online. It's okay. We actually have a real place, and you can come out and visit Slowjamastan. People actually plan their vacations around us just to come and check out the land, and then they'll go about their day and, maybe go to California or Arizona or Nevada or wherever. So it's pretty cool. So I don't know where it's going to go. Like I said, every day is different, and what happens today could be completely different tomorrow.
Oh, well, that's definitely true. The only constant in life is change. What does Slowjamastan consist of right now besides, sand and other things?
And trying to build our lazy river and our armadillo farm, our interactive armadillo farm. Right now, if you go to the land, you're going to see a telephone booth. You're going to see the square. You're going to see the Sultan's desk. You're going to see states. We've sold, I think we have 12 states, and we sold 11 of them. So you'll see states all over the land. Beautiful signs, by the way. These are not like amateur signs. They're really, really nice signs. Like, say, Chris, if you had bought a state in Slowjamastan, then you would be the governor of your own state, but you'd be responsible for your own marketing, of your state. So a lot of people do that. But if you come onto the land, you're going to see the Border Patrol guard shack. You're going to see the arm. You're going to see the rules to coming in. You're going to see that you need a passport. And more importantly, you're going to see that we have cameras all over Slowjamastan. And some people found out the hard way that we actually have real working cameras, and they paid dearly for it. So, yeah.
It sounds like that. Okay. Well, I mean, people are people wherever, I guess, right? But
listen, we've also seen some funny and some very exotic things happen on the land. Again, they don't realize that there's real cameras there, and we've seen naked photo shoots. So we've seen a lot of things happen. People think the cameras are fake, and then they find out later they're real.
Yeah, that's definitely interesting. But even if it is a satirical nation, I mean, there's like you said, there's a lot of background, a lot of work that goes into it. How much work was it to actually be well? Again, you're not, I guess, not recognized, but I mean, just getting everything set up. How much work was that?
First of all, it was finding the land, right? So that took quite a few months. I want to say maybe almost a year, I think, to finally find a place. So first of all, it's finding the land. That was the first thing. And buying land is like buying a house. You got to go through the same process. So that was the first part of it. The second part is once you get there, there's nothing there. So we had to start building on it. And this is where the cost really starts to build. I don't know if you know, but concrete is very, very expensive. And so doing concrete out there was quite the ordeal. But most of the work has been really done by us. So we've done the majority of that work. We installed the signs. We dug the holes. We did the cement. Other than the professional stuff that we really don't know how to do, we had to hire a company for that. And then just recently, when I was supposed to be on your podcast, we were at Slowjamastan. We were doing the fence. So we were putting up the wall, the border wall. Because we technically don't have one. We always say the border wall, right? But, it's a border wall. So this time we actually put on the fence, and now we have a guy that is the Minister of Defense, not defense, defense. So now we have the Minister of Defense. And now we have a fence all around Slowjamastan because of recent things that happened where I said earlier, people found out the hard way that our cameras really are real.
Wow. So you have a Minister of Defense. Does that mean that you guys have you said you have governors now. You said you have 11 governors now? 11 governors?
Yes, correct.
Now, do you guys ever hold Congress at all or anything like that? Or just...
So I guess you could say maybe not Congress because it's a dictatorship. So whenever we hold events, it's basically the Sultan and I up on the stage and, we let people know what's going on. If he's feeling good that day, he might take some feedback from the crowd. Typically, we don't take any feedback, but every now and then we will. But yeah, no, it's a dictatorship, man. So, it's our way or the highway. There's no Congress.
There you go. And actually, I'm not sure if this was related. When you went to go speak at NATO, were you speaking on Slowjamastan at NATO?
That is correct. So the funny thing is, and here's something I do want to clear up because I also want to be honest about it. NATO didn't necessarily invite me to go and speak at NATO. What happened is that while we were at NATO, I was talking to one of the organizers, and it was just a short conversation. And I actually went up to the organizer to compliment him on a job well done with everything here. I was really impressed with all the speakers. I said I was really excited to be here because it's not easy, to get into NATO. It took us a long time and a lot of credentials. And anyway, it's a whole other story for another time. But, the fact that we were there, I was really grateful. So I just went and complimented the organizer. And so I give him my business card. And my business card is a border patrol, and it says Slowjamastan. And he goes, Slowjamastan? Wait a minute. And he looks at me and says, I know who you guys are. And so we started, having a conversation about that. So he said, oh, yeah, you guys got that country and blah, blah, blah. He goes, I don't remember what led to what, but he goes, you know what? He says, I've got 5 minutes. He says, if you want to take 5 minutes up on that stage and talk about Slowjamastan, the time is yours. Well, that blew me away. And I'm like, yes, I'll do it. And I didn't know what the heck I was going to say. But I took the opportunity, so I went up on stage and I started talking about Slowjamastan, which actually made sense because NATO is really about countries. So the fact that I went up there and got to talk about Slowjamastan was great. And you know what? It was the right time at the right moment because there was so much seriousness going around, right? If I could paint a picture for you, you've got generals up there doing speeches. You've got climate people, you've got investors, you've got really, really important people going up there talking about some very important issues around the world. And then I come along and I'm on stage and I'm talking about banning Crocs. And I'm talking about string cheese. And I'm talking about how we don't allow speeding in Slowjamastan unless you got tacos in the car. But it was the right moment because it was the laugh and the smile that people needed to have that day. So it really did work out good. And thankfully, I got it all on video and photos and stuff like that. So it was pretty cool. That's how I ended up speaking at NATO.
I mean, you still did your job. You went there, and I bet, you were the only envoy that actually made somebody smile that day.
Oh, absolutely. And I guess technically we can say, I was invited because, they did ask me to go and do a quick, little presentation on Slowjamastan. So in a way, I say I was invited. I didn't just show up and go, hey, I'm going to just, get on the stage and start talking to people about Slowjamastan. So technically I was invited. And like I said, it was the right time. We made people laugh and I felt like I did my job and that got us more press. That got us a lot more press. That little 5-minute presentation got us even more press from all these different outlets from around the world. So everything worked out great for everyone.
And is Slowjamastan involved in any sort of like social works as well, or is it just standalone and doesn't really get involved?
It's right now standalone. We would like to do some things. I know we've been approached about doing some things. We're still considering. So right now, I'm going to say we're not doing anything other than maybe the only outside thing we've done from Slowjamastan is we adopted a highway and cleaned up a highway. That's the one thing that we did do that we were approached about. But so far, right now, I'm going to say it's standalone, but we're not closed, to opportunities or anything like that. It's just going to be the right one. It's going to make sense.
For sure. And but what exactly does it take to be a citizen of Slowjamastan? I'm just curious here. Now that you've
Absolutely nothing, my friend. All you have to do is go to the website, you sign up, and then that's it. We wait for an approval, and then you're good to go.
I guess that's to go by the Sultan, or
it's got to go through the Sultan. It's got to go through me. We got to make sure that we both agree. Okay, this person looks good. We check them out, and they can be a citizen. Now, if you want to get a passport, well, then you'll have to buy a passport, just like you have to buy a passport for any other country. And you can get those also on the website. And then if you want to come out to Slowjamastan, you got to present that passport, and I will stamp it for you when you first come in, and I will stamp it for you when you leave. The only thing I say, you never want to go out there in the summertime. It's the worst time to be there. 120-degree weather.
Yeah, that's a little hard.
If you want to come visit during the good months.
And what would be the good months?
Anytime between, let's see, you've got October through the first week, maybe second week in May. Right after that, it's going to start to climb fast. So I would say if you have a last minute, and May's the only time, May would be the last time you really should go. Now, you can go anytime you want. Don't get me wrong. But if you want to be comfortable, I would say anytime between October and April 30th.
This was such a big thing. Then you said yourself that it sort of spiraled out of control. Well, not out of control, but it spiraled into something much bigger than you thought it would. What do you think was the hardest part in that journey of really kind of building Slowjamastan into what it is today?
I think that the hardest part was really just kind of trying to figure it out as we were going, because we really didn't know what we were doing. We were just, whatever the market was telling us is kind of where we were going with it. Every day we've had to come up with ideas. Every day we've had to thought, okay, what do we do about this? We're trying to keep up with trends as well. What's going on right now that's going to make sense. And I'll give you an example. The name of our raccoon, which is the national animal, is Slowjamastanly. That's the name of the raccoon. A few months ago, do you remember that whole craze with the Stanley Cups? Remember that whole Stanley Cup thing? So we jumped on board right away with that, and we called it the Slowjamastanly mug or whatever it was. And we started selling those left and right. So immediately we jumped on that and we put it out there. We said, hey, here's your Slowjamastanly cup. Go ahead and get it. And people started buying it. It was just a really good gimmick. So we try to stay on top of things. And I think that's the hardest thing, is trying to stay on top of what's happening, where there can be some relevance with Slowjamastan and whatever that trend is.
So you played hockey in Slowjamastan?
Dirt hockey, yes. We can definitely play some dirt hockey. Plenty of land.
Well, I'm just thinking there's the Slowjamastanly Cup, and it reminds me of Cool Runnings. See a bunch of people running around with it's the Jamaican bobsled team, I think it was. That was.
Listen, we can do something similar. We'll just give you a cardboard instead. You can sit on the cardboard and slide down some of the sandy slopes that we have. We can call that a bobsled.
So the hardest part, I guess you say, is kind of maintaining, I guess, relevancy or interconnectedness with what's going on in the world.
I would say that's the hardest thing right now, because everything else has just been, we build as we go. As we come up with ideas, we'll implement those ideas. But I think it's more about staying up with trends, again, that are relevant, something that we can jump on, like the Slowjamastanly Cup. We want to, be able to keep up with those things. That's a little bit harder because there's so many things going on all the time, right? I'll give you an example, like right now, something we're thinking about right now, and we're trying to strike while it's hot. Like that's the thing. Always trying to strike when the iron's hot is, what's going on with ICE right now, right? And me being the Border Patrol agent of Slowjamastan, like how can we connect these two where it's not serious for us, it's still satire, but at the same time, we're not offending people or organizations with what we do. So that's where it gets really hard, because if we do the wrong thing, it could be detrimental to us, So we have to think about what it is we're doing and if we even want to pursue it. So that's the conversation that we are literally in right now. Is there something we can tie in here where it still keeps the satire and we still remain in a positive light? So that's a tough situation, man. Sometimes you just got to let it go and be like, you know what? It's probably going to be nothing. Let's just, maybe just shouldn't even touch it. And that's where it gets hard, because if you make the wrong choice, it could destroy everything.
No, that's very true. And actually, that kind of segues me into a next point. I'm sure that you came across all sorts of pushback, or I guess haters in your journey. I'm sure, trying to create Slowjamastan.
Yes, well, God, yes, of course, definitely. Usually, it's funny. Usually, the haters are the ones who don't get it, and that makes it even funnier, because they take it so serious. They think that we just came in and, we're the dictatorship and we're running this country. And how could you be a border patrol agent and you're self-appointed? They don't get it, dude. They don't get that it's satire. So we don't do anything about that. But the people that get it, they crap all over these people on social media. People will be on there commenting, you guys are a bunch of jerk offs and this and that. And how dare you come into my country and start your own country? And we laugh, and we let all of our followers just start commenting. And all the followers will just start crapping on those people, dude, left and right, to be like, yeah, you're the idiot, blah, blah, blah. And we just sit back and laugh. But that's the, I think you're going to get haters with anything that you do globally, anything that not even globally, and anything that you do of notice. If you start something and people get to notice it, and all of a sudden you got followers and people want to be a part of it, you're always going to have haters, But the haters are the ones that just don't get it. And that's what is the funny part.
And see, that's kind of why I wanted to start. I wanted to ask you that and get into the segue of that, because I know that there are many people out there that maybe want to start a business, not their own country, but, they want to start a business and they want to, do something. And maybe they're afraid of what they're going to, maybe they're going to be afraid of the haters, or afraid of what people are going to think of the business, or things like that. And obviously, when you guys started out, you just, I guess, didn't care, right? You just did what you had to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that you bring up somebody starting, a business, because I'm an entrepreneur myself. I'm also a customer retention expert. Really, that's what I do outside of, when we're not having fun with Slowjamastan. But I've used the Slowjamastan comparison many, many times. When you look at Slowjamastan, we are like a business. We're exactly like a business. We have an LLC. We're exactly like a business. Everything we've done in Slowjamastan is what you would do when you start your own business. You're going to go through all the same things that we're going through. We just happen to do it in the way of satire. But at the end of the day, it's still a business. So if we can, and this is what I tell business owners or those that are thinking about starting, and go, look, if we can start a country where people pay to be citizens, and not everybody pays, there's the free versions as well, but where people pay to be citizens, just to be citizens, and those are our customers, believe me, you can start a business. You got to have some know-how and some, interest, in what you're doing. But if you're a true entrepreneur, you can go and start a business. If I can do Slowjamastan, you can definitely start a business. It's going to take the same amount of effort, the same creativity to make that business happen. So you can do it as well. And so I go, there's a lot of comparisons between I guess you can say a regular business and our business. We're doing the same thing, all the same. It's just a different name, it's just a different thing, but we're doing the same process that you would do when you start your business to get customers, to do all that stuff. We're doing the same thing. Ours just happened to be different. It got us the attention, and we didn't have to work, I guess, as hard to get customers, but we still have to do the same process.
I like that. And I like the fact that you use satire to try to get through to the world, because, a lot of it is about, what are they calling it now? Edutainment?
Oh, yeah. I've heard that before. Yes. Edutainment.
Yeah.
It's like educational entertainment. Yeah.
So do you personally believe that satire is maybe the best way to, well, I'm sorry, I'm not going to say the best way, but an effective way of getting your message out to a large number of people relatively quickly?
I believe so. That it's worked for us. And, when I do a speech, for example, if I'm talking to, an organization, and, we use I use the Slowjamastan platform when I'm out doing speaking events. One of the things that I will say is that if you can use, because it's not going to be for every business. Not every business can, use satire the way that we use it. But if you can use it, then use it to your advantage, because, comedy, satire, positivity, things that we do allow you to get your message out there in a very, I guess, creative way. I think that's how satire, how we use it. We get our message out there because it is creative, because it is funny. I don't know if we would have the same effect if we were trying to be more serious about it. I'm not sure that would really, work out. But at the same time, not every organization can use satire, but they can take some kind of creativity, apply it to their business that would make sense to still send out the message in a different creative way. I don't know if that makes any sense.
No, that makes sense. I mean, just recently I saw like it's not the Humane Society, it's the Cats and Dogs Association. They had like a fashion show. I forget what they called it. They had the dogs at little tutus or like costumes or whatever.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen that before.
Yeah, so I mean, just different things like that. It's not necessarily satire. It's just something a little lighter to bring attention to it. Well, not saying at the same time that they, no, I'm pretty sure that these were all no kill. Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure they were all no kill.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But just drawing attention to that. I think they had a pizza party for dogs too, and they actually had like little cookies for the dogs and stuff. It was interesting. But
see, I love that, and that's that's the point that I was trying to make right now. That's why I'm asking. Does it make sense what I'm trying to say? That's what I'm talking about right there. What they're doing, it's not satire, like you said. It's not satire, but it's creative, and they're getting their message out in a creative way by dressing up the animals in these silly little costumes. But it draws attention, and people love to see that. So that's what I say when I say to organizations, you got to figure out what is your creative way of getting your message out. For us, it's satire. For you, it might be dressing up animals in silly costumes. If you find something, find it so you can get your message out there creatively. I mean, if you think about it, man, we're bombarded with messages all day long. So how are you going to stand out? How are you going to stand out and be different? You have to stand out and be different. There's too many messages, too many distractions. We have too many advertisements constantly coming at us. I'm sure after I'm done with this interview, I'm going to open up Instagram or TikTok, and there'll be something relevant to this interview here, or to the brand that we're using to video, this thing to do, because that's what it is. So you have to find a different way to stand out. And I think that's what's helped us, is the satire is what's helped us stand out and remain, and we remained effective because of it. So I love the point that you made. Yes, the Humane Society, what a great way to get the message out. To do that because people love it. It's fun, it's silly, but you remember it. And it's a memory, it's a good memory for you. So yeah, I love that, man.
Well, this has been a really great conversation, Mark. Thanks so much for being on the show. We are coming up pretty close to the time. Is there anything that you feel I should have asked but didn't ask, or anything that we should have covered but didn't cover today?
I think this is a good enough conversation. I think we covered everything that we wanted to talk about. But no, listen, man, I appreciate your time as well. I was, happy to be here. At the end of the day, I'm always happy to talk about Slowjamastan and trivia, dude. It's the things I'll talk about all day long. I mean, we could go another 2 hours on this.
Oh, well.
But I think we covered some good points, though.
Okay. Well, just once again, thank you so much for your time. And, to all our listeners, thank you for tuning in. And just know, just remember that if you can't find that motivation or inspiration for yourself today, maybe just try and go out and be that motivation or inspiration for someone else. And we'll see you again next time.